and welcome to this edition on the Fat, where you can catch us anytime on Intellectual Radio and any other host on this great station where we feed our brain. You can catch us on YouTube, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio. So you have no excuse to catch any of us here on Intellectual Radio. Today, we are going to discuss the gun violence in Chicago. Everyone has an opinion, everyone is talking about it, but who's coming up with solutions? I mean, we have to discuss solutions. We can't just talk about it, gripe about it. We have to come up with some clear solutions. But first, I want to start out by congratulating my daughter on this past weekend, her and Brandon, for their nuptials. They got married over the weekend, and what a beautiful ceremony they had. It was pure love in that room, and they are gone away now to the DR, enjoying themselves in Punta Cana. They just made it. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. So you better not be watching Chewing the Fat. You guys better be honeymooning and catch up and view me a little bit later during the week. However, I also want to let you guys know I just celebrated on the 21st my 25th anniversary. So I want to send my love, kisses, and we are taking off to Mexico early in the morning, about 5 or 6 o'clock well, 5:30 my plane takes off. So we will be out of here on tomorrow. So wish me a happy anniversary, my chewers. So thank you guys for doing that on the 21st. I truly appreciate it. All the happy anniversaries. Thank you guys so much, my chewers. So let's get down to the nitty and the gritty, to the chewing and the munching about this gun violence in Chicago. Every time we turn on our TV, we're either getting breaking news, or when we turn on the news, it is senseless, crazy, absurd violence. Things that, we can't say it didn't happen, because in the 80s, they did statistical numbers, the gun violence of the 80s and right now in the millennials, it just about compared. I always tell my children, no, this is nothing new. When my age generation started complaining, like, what is going on? Oh, it happened in the 80s. It may not have been as publicized as they do now, because guess what? Social media wasn't here. If it was, I think maybe YouTube, not YouTube, MySpace was probably just coming in early 90s or late 80s, something like that. And people were not on it like we are now. News reporters were not blowing up news as much as they are now, not fueling it as much. And of course, again, we didn't have the people on social media fueling and feeding it as we do now. And things are just, getting out quicker, and videotaping and all of those things are not as swift as it used to be. I mean, as it is today, as it was yesterday. So this is why things appear to be as worse or worse off as it is today as it was yesterday. But we need to be realistic. Those of us who actually saw it, lived it, there were kidnappings, there were doors being knocked in motels, and people heads getting blown off. There were people getting taken back to their homes, and the stick-ups were happening. They were getting tied up. There were drive-by shootings going on. There were carjackings going on. There were Jordans being lifted off people's feet, 8-ball jackets, troop jackets, you name it, chains being snatched, purses being snatched. Come on, guys, we remember. But the solutions were then, our people were more vigilant. They were not afraid to tell. We had community leaders and community activists that was willing to chase people out of our neighborhoods. We didn't allow things to happen in our communities the way that they're happening now. It was not doing business as usual in our communities as they do now. People were not as what do I want to say? Immune. We weren't immune to violence. If something occurred, it was like So it was devastation. And so we got together. We had block club meetings. We had community meetings. We would go to precinct captain meetings. So what am I saying? What are some of the solutions? Community involvement. That's a big one. So if you want to say what's a solution, community involvement, us. We should be accountable for what happened in our communities. We should not be going in, sticking our key in the door, crossing our ankles at the end of the day, and pretending our neighborhood is not a bloodbath or a crime, a community of crime. Hi, thank you so much. We should not be pretending that our neighborhood is not overwhelmed with violence. We should not pretend that the people, no, not people, the drug dealers are not selling drugs on the church steps, that they're not sitting on your neighbor's porch and using it for, um, what am I trying to say? The holding zone. Security is standing at the gate and then they passing out drugs out the back door. It happens when owners leave or the tenants turn the building out into the serving house. Stop pretending like it's not happened. What we do have is a law that governs the community where if that building is stopped by the police or called by community leaders more than 3 times, that building can be taken by the city. I don't know if you all know that, but if that building is fined or called by the police more than 2 or 3 times, the city have the right to take that building. So that building will become shut down. You all need to know what can happen in your community and it can be shut down. That building do not have to be the Carters. Like off New Jack City, you don't have to live next door to the Carters. You can have that building shut down if the property owner, I'll get to you, Marquita, if the property owner does not control their building and allow it to become the slum of the community and it's become a problem in your community, you can have that building shut down. You do not have to live also next door to 5 abandoned buildings and then your house, 2 abandoned buildings and then an occupied another building. You don't have to live that way. You can go and have the city to tear those buildings down, because guess what? It is a security breach in your community. You can become raped. You can have people that can become killed and thrown in there. It can become another holding zone for drug dealers, gang members, whatever. That building has become a nuisance and a menace to your community, and you can have that building demolished. Marquita is saying the black dollar is very important. Keep our dollars amongst us. Another big one that would also help grow our community and keep gun violence down. Reason why, and I'm going to explain it, why this is so important. What's one of the number one reasons why people turn to crime? Hey, CJ, if you cannot feed your family, if you have been to jail a few times and you get out and you're trying to obtain a job, they give you these certifications in prison. Sometimes they don't tell you, or you get these trades in prison and then you get out and you try to become certified. They don't tell you if you are an ex-offender, you can't become certified. And you get this trade. At one point, all of these people were getting barber degrees, but couldn't go take the state board test because you had a felony. And if you have a felony, sometimes you couldn't take the state board test. So why would you become a barber in jail and then couldn't go take the state board test? So you get my hopes up to here only to drop me down there. So now I can't feed my family. What I very well thought was going to be a way, a provision for me, has now taken me back down to a level of insecurity, poverty, and everything else. So I know how to go back to what I only knew how to do: sell drugs. So I'm back in the cycle of crime. So When they give these certifications, when the ex-offender go back to jail, they need to make sure that they meet all criteria. Why do I say that? The prison system was meant to be a place of reform, not deform. Don't cut my limbs off. Don't drill a hole in my head, but instead feed my brain. Give me muscles so that I can move mountains. And when you do that, now you are creating a way for me not to return back into the doors, but to open doors for me and my family. So, great point, Marquita. If the black dollar stays in our community, we can build our community. Another thing, education. We have a population that has dropped out of school. We have a population that some of us can't read past the fifth grade level. Some of us can't even fill out a resume. Some of us don't even go prepared physically to a job interview. Your physical appearance is your physical appearance of everyday wear. You don't even know how to put clothes on to go to a real interview. You don't even know how to place your clothes on to go and just get the applications. How dare you go in with your pants sagging or a belly top on or and your nipple ring showing through your shirt and go ask for an application? You going in with a bonnet on your head, pajama pants, and you asking for an application. Don't you know your first the first appearance and your first the first impact that you come into that door with is what a person is judging you by. And it's unfortunate. You can be a intelligent person. You can be a humbled person, one of the best people for this position. But guess what? People judge you by your first shot. And it's just the truth of the matter. So when you go in, always go in prepared. You could be hired on the spot. Always remember that. Eddie Smith says we need to teach our youth that you don't have to work for someone. The drug dealer is misguided, is a misguided businessman. I always say that, Eddie. The smartest person on that street corner is that drug dealer. He's a chemist because he know how to cook up that drug. He know the science behind that. He knows how to run that street corner and operate it just like somebody know how to operate corporate America. He's running a team. He's organized. He know how to count that money. He knows when it's short, just like someone on Wall Street does. He knows how to operate and sit down and hold that business meeting because every day he holds that meeting from the beginning of that day to the end of that day. Every gang member is an organized unit. You also have positions in the gang, from your enforcer to your captain to your chief. Look, I can run down positions in the gang, just like I can run down a position in every job, every career. And they have things that they have to memorize as we have as our mission statement and purpose. They have the Quran prayer that they have to memorize in the vice lords. And the disciples have their prayer that they have to memorize. And they memorize these things. And not just they memorize the Quran. Some of these people say it in Arabic. They speak another tongue. So they have not just learned it in English. Some of these members have learned this thing in another tongue. So they have a second language that they picked up. Listen to what I'm saying. We have given up on our people because we have got disgusted with the behavior of these people. But if we take that same person and put energy in them and turn them around to become productive individuals, what a society we will have. However, we have to remember that the government has designed this thing not for minorities, which we're never a minority anymore, because the Latinas and African Americans have now become some of the strongest numbers. I just want us to know that and still remember that African Americans are chosen people, but we don't walk into our positions, into our airness, because we have inheritance that we have to go claim, but we don't know who we are and the cloth that we came from, because we reject it so much, because we like pity parties. We reject who we are. Quinn Riley says, I taught youth entrepreneurship for 16 years, and my best students were former dealers. Now, Quinn Riley is one of the most intelligent men on entrepreneurship and businesses. He's authored books. He has a website on, he has a website on entrepreneurship. This is what he does. This is what he do daily. This is his life purpose. He knows how to run entrepreneurship. Quinn is going to come on the show maybe in October, or do a call-in show. We're going to get this together in October for Quinn to physically come, or to do a call-in show for us in October, because I really want him to do a piece on entrepreneurship for us and for the youth. And I need him to come in and seriously talk about this, because this is a piece that's missing. A lot of people want to come out and work for themselves, but they need guidance on how to. Or they can work physically for someone else and on the side become their own boss. And maybe, just maybe, when it comes time for retirement, this is their nest egg cushion for them for retirement, as well as what they've worked for. Or how about this? As they retire, this is their extra money that's coming in, and it can be ran by someone else, but they still have this great cushion that they can lay upon. This is things that we need to look for and ask for. Another way that we can check the violence in our street. Now, we said, one, we're going to educate ourselves. We have to educate ourselves. If we don't educate ourselves, we're going to be lost. If we don't come back to our roots in our community and start by making sure, we have to run them off. If we're not reporting what's going on in our communities, then we are part of the problem. We got to stop locking our doors and pretending we don't know what's happening. We have to stop being afraid of the outcome. You should be afraid of what's going on. You should be afraid of the takeover, because that's what's happening. We're taking over. It's an overflow of takeover. And they're so worried about controlling gun violence by controlling the gun law. But it's not the law, because they're not going to apply for guns. These are illegal gun streams that's coming in. No drug dealer is going to apply for a gun. No gangbanger has went and applied for a gun. And they're not going through the person who have applied for a gun to get their guns. These are smuggled in guns that they're getting. So the intelligence of the government is baffling to me, because these are supposed to be some of our educated people. And they're saying, oh, we need to get this law for gun violence. Nobody is going to sign up for a 4A card. They're not. Or a conceal and carry course. They're not. So some of these things that they're pretending doing, it's a masquerade. It's a facade, just to quiet America down for elections. But if they really wanted to see us at a different light, and something moving forward, they would try their best to employ some of these young men and women that's out here lost. Another thing they did was shut down our mental health institutions, and decided that the best thing to do was to place these individuals in prisons and overflow the prison system. There's no real behavioral or mental health help or assistance in a prison system. They just line them up, give them a couple of pills, and have a fake group therapy. The things that you see on television where they're having these group sessions, it really does not occur in the prison system. I have people that's in the prison system. I have people that's in federal and state. So these pretend programs never really happen intensively. So when some of these people return out into society that's really bad off, they are ending up back in the street. So the crimes that they commit when they are not at their best mental health, it's going to happen again and again and again. I have a homeless woman that over the past 2 weeks have been sitting on my porch and telling my family, I haven't had a direct contact with her. My husband has twice and my daughter has twice. She's asking them, what in the hell are you doing on my porch at my house? Get out of my house. So in her mind, my home is hers. She's coming and hanging her hats on my gate. And she's actually looking quite hostile and angry that my family is catching her on my porch and asking her to leave. Now, at any given time, this woman can pull out a weapon and attack my family. So I've now began to I came out and I caught her coming down and I asked her, please don't sit here anymore or there'll be a problem. I'm the lady of the house and I'm asking you, don't bring your little self back out on my porch anymore. I locked my gates. I took her hats off the gate, moved them over by the bushes, and gave her a piece of my mind. Now, with that being said, my next steps will only be to call the police department because then they will have to take her to the hospital and then the hospital will have to eval her. They'll put her in a little institution maybe for, the 48 to 72 hours. And if they see deemed, then they'll take her to a facility, but then that facility will have to release her and she's back out again. And that would be the cycle unless she do something violent and then they'll take her to the prison system. But still, how the cycle goes, guess what? She still don't get the help that she actually needs. She's not going to get the group therapy. She's not going to get, or not even group therapy, but the one-on-one therapy that she needs, the assistance that she needs, because it's not designed to do that. Because what? The government took all the funding for that. When they did it, 3 years ago, when they closed all the facilities, laid off a lot of workers. So they didn't look forward to helping these people because guess what they said? America has no money. So guess what America have to do? Fend for themselves and deal with the purge. Because that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a purge every single day. Every single day. People are purging themselves because that's what they know how to do. And we have to pray and hope that the purge does not end up on our doorsteps because that's what's happening. Everyone is getting so over of not enough funding. Not enough funding. Yeah, Denise, she thinks it's her house. She told us it's her house. She's asking them, why are you in my house? Why are you on my porch? And she's hostile, very hostile, and she's rejecting leaving. So even to the point that she's coming the driveway by her cars, and so we don't know if she'll bust windows out. We don't know her intent. We don't know. So it's becoming, quite malicious, almost. I'm just thinking another thing that has been taken away from us as that can also decrease gun violence and be an outreach. Our churches. We have a church almost on every corner, three or two to every corner. And if you all just kind of play in back of your head, if you think of the city of Chicago, you can almost see 2 to 3 churches on every corner and different denominations, whether it's Jehovah's Witness, Kajic, Church of God in Christ, or Baptist. You're gonna see a church on every corner, and then sporadically a Methodist church, sporadically. And when you do, I want you all now to think of how many other churches actually go out and do outreach. Come out of their church, come into the community, not the ones just giving out food, because see, that's a program. I'm not talking about the program that the church get and then get a kickback at the end of the year. I'm not talking about that. That's a kickback. That's a funding program that the church get to file off and they get money back. So they're happy to be a part of that program. I'm not talking about the Christian Bible school that they get the funding for that. I'm not talking about the things that they get the funding for and they could, get the kickback. I'm not talking about the clothes giveaway that they get a kickback from. Not the kickbacks, but I'm talking about those who go out with the teaching of Jesus Christ. Those who go out and do the outreach as Jesus did. Those who go out and run out and talk to the young men that are hurting. No one cares anymore. That's what Denise Green says. You can't find salvation and please the Lord by going to church on Sunday, lifting your hands up, screaming, shouting, and running into a wall and speaking in tongues. But when you see somebody on the street, you hit the pedal, or you look like you don't see them when they out there on the corner. You have to outreach. You have to come from around that pulpit. You have to teach your congregation about the teachings of Jesus Christ, how he would go out among the prostitutes, around the gamblers, around the fighters, the murderers, and anybody else that held under, not like him. And he would go out there and teach them, show them about who the Father was and how they can be saved and forgiven. That is what the churches are for. If we have a church on every corner, there should almost be a rotating schedule on when they come out. They should be meeting with one another. Because when I was growing up, that's what happened. Those same meetings were happening in the churches. In the 60s, that is how they organized and boycotted and did the things that made relevance in the civil rights movements. It was reaching out to those who are hurting, those who have went astray, those who were afraid. It is the same tactics that will get us through today. Same tactics. Different time era, but the same tactics. I had people asking, why are they marching on the expressway? What would that do? Why are you sitting at home judging? What would that do? Do you know when you stop a money flow, you get attention? When you shut down an expressway, Magnificent Mile, or any other thing, you gain the attention of the powers that be. You are making a major sound by being silent and just walking. You are making a major statement about we need you to pour action to it. When you're doing that, then they incline their ear to listen. If you've never been an organizer, because I have, I'm an activist. I do these things. We've shut down streets. We've marched I've marched in the Gen 6. I helped to create that change. I've marched with my nephew was shot and helped create change of OPS and broke the system down. I helped create the independent review board. I've asked for that civil board to be created for a civilian board. I worked with Pastor Ackery, Robin Hood, Pastor Hatch. I was that lady that sat and wanted that change when my nephew was shot in the back. And those of you know that. I was there when Al Sharpton flew in for me at the Catfish Corner when that happened. That was me. And I say that with pride because when you do sound your voice and want change, it can happen. So some of you all are sitting there judging, not knowing that when you set out for action, it can happen. but it's about making it real, bringing it to their face, because to them, it's about budgeting and dollars. But for us, it's about body count. They want to know what happens. Why are we broken? Why is there a disconnect? Police misconduct didn't just start happening. Police misconduct started 100 years ago. Police misconduct conduct happened back on the plantation when they was governing us. That's the same people that govern us on the plantation. They didn't have a badge. Now they have a badge. Some of those who still are prejudiced and still don't have the sensitivity of culture, knowing that in our culture, some of these young men are afraid, and the first thing they do, they will run because they've had packs put on them, guns put on them, because they are in a community where it's okay to do. I've seen it done. I've saw them do that. I had a picture where they put a drop gun on my nephew. The girl caught it from the time he was down with no gun to the time they placed the gun. You see what I'm saying? So they didn't know we had the footage, but we did. 13.5 was awarded to him for his death from Officer Fitzgerald. So when you know there is a break in the system, see, there's a break in every system. A break in every system. You don't say they're all bad apples, but in every field, there's going to be an apple that roll a little bit farther from the tree, or an apple that's on that vine, on that tree leaf, that's going to have some worms that ate too much, and it's going to be rotten, and you have to pluck it and toss it. Or one that's in that bushel that's going to be a rotten and nobody can eat. But there's also going to be some great apples. Remember, start pushing the pins that I'm giving you. So we gotta come together as a people. When we talk about the schools and the buildings, some of these buildings that was shut down can be gutted out and made centers for people to be able to have resource centers for making resumes. Some people don't know how to make resumes. Some of the buildings can become women and children shelters to help these women, and one can become a male shelter. And not, some men have their kids, so if they have their kids, you can have one. Because I don't believe in putting kids in the male shelters, because some people and some women, if they're pedophiles or whatever. But if you want to raise your family, I think that should be like a building with families, like a family unit, one, and then there should be one just for men and one for women. We have so many abandoned buildings. Start gutting these homes out and allowing that to happen. They be able to stay there 3 months, 4 months till they get on their feet. You get them educated, you get them whatever certifications they need to stand on their feet. Have people who donate business suits and things like that. You prepare them for job readiness, GEDs, whatever, and then get them on their feet, and they can go on their way, and then transition the next ones in. Let's start using these old factory facilities that shut down and turn it into a trade center, and where they're able to pick up carpentry, electricians, food service, all of these different things, beauty, hair, nails, makeup, whatever. That's a $1 million industry right there. If you're great, if you're gifted in these areas, and $100,000 and things over, you can make that in these fields. And that's what we need to know. Everybody is not meant to go to college, but if you get one of them trades, honey, you don't need the degree. My husband made great money as a carpenter. Look, he's been working for himself for over 20 plus years, and he's a licensed carpenter. So he goes back and forth to the union whenever he wants to. He get his name on the list and still runs his place, his company. So and he's at the highest he can go in the carpentry. So those who you know what he's making. and then he with his own business. So you have to be able to think outside the box and know this. He's been to prison before. We're not ashamed because this is what we teach. And you already know I believe in transparency. That's the problem with some people. Believe in transparency because you're able to teach other people. You're able to help someone else out. When people understand your journey, then they won't be so afraid to walk in their passion and their journey. Because I tell you one thing, you're there is no testimony without a test. And so when you're tested, don't get excited, don't scream, don't shout, don't fall out and run into a hole. Hold your chest and head up and just ball your fists up and be ready to bob and weave. Throw your hook shots, your uppercuts in between it. Be ready because we're talking about what can we do? What can we do? These are the steps and the things that we can do. And these are the things that we have to teach our children. Another thing, and the reason why I'm mentioning so much about this is because we're pretending that we don't know solutions. Those of us that live in the community know it. What's the new drug in our community that's killing us? Some of you already know. We got a new crack out here. In our generation, the new thing in the 80s, it was crack. But the new thing is pill popping and leaf. Now, leaf was out back then, but a lot of people didn't do happy stick. You know, you had the few that did happy stick, and it was like, they doing happy stick. But right now, they dipping their weed in the leaf and they weed and making leaf and smoking that and they call it whack. But it's still to us, you dipping, that's embalming fluid. So you smoking whack. So you smoking embalming fluid. Same thing they was doing back in the day. Okay. So y'all want to do that. And you popping pills. Something that a man-made drug that you put anything that you want, from rat poison to Drano to liquid plumber to this to that, and you gonna pop that. And it's okay with you. So you want to know why somebody go home and kill a mother, kill a daughter, jump off the train track, drive and kill 12 people, but you ain't gonna die. These are the things. So what do we do with that? We need more addiction programs. But guess what? The government cut that program along with mental health. Not many to help us. But if they reinstitute that and honestly know that it's an epidemic in our community, then see, you hear me say our community? Because guess what they did? They identified that there is a problem, but guess what they did the research at? Wheaton and DuPage. They used the test, cure, and drug and solution in their community because it came to their little community. And so now they were passing the stuff out to help them and get them through and all of that good stuff. But they did not use it in our community where we've been having people overdose. No, I know at least 6 years. No, how old is my niece? 12. And 12 years. She's 12. So I knew my little play niece, father, mom wasn't with him anymore. He spazzed out. He wanted him. He took popped the pill, smoked the stuff, walking around. He was going to kill mom. We felt that because he cut his way into a window, came in there waiting, looking for her. When he couldn't find her, he cut the screen door out. She had some Caucasian neighbors. He cut the big dog, German Shepherd, cut the big dog up, cut the people up in the corner. Lady sitting on the porch with her baby. He cut her, didn't cut the 2-year-old or 1-year-old. Then he walking down there. Now this is a 6'7", over 200 pound, close to 300 pound guy Walked around the corner. By the time he was coming through the alley, police say he's looking like a monster. He walking through the alley. They had to pull Forrest Park, had to pull guns out on him and about to shoot him before he took the knife. So he was walking around like who is that? The guy of Hollywood, Michael Myers, just running through cutting folk in Forest Park. Been in jail now 12 years. 12 years. But guess what? He when he woke up and sobered up and made it to court that morning, he had no idea what he had done. So that's an altered state of mind. So that drug drop for all of these years is just now being answered because it has spilled over for the last few years in suburbia America, Chicago. And so now people want to come up with answers. But we needed answers a long time ago. And I still don't think they'll answer our community first because they've already started the testing and put it on the news. So it angered me. It angered me because we've been wanting a solution. And not to mention a young man, even around that same time, we knew killed his father in my old community and didn't even know what he did the next day. One of my son peers and killed his father, his old elderly father. Ridiculous. But this is the drug that's been in our communities. And we want to know what to do with it. Well, we need drug facilities again and drug counselors to come out. We need people to show real concern about us. And then, and only then, can we come up with real solutions. Because you want to know why it's gun violence? Imagine an altered state of mind with a pistol in their hand. They are popping pills at record numbers. And this is why we have bodies at record numbers. And everyone wants to be tough. Everyone wants a name. Everyone. And they get up and they talk about it like they just left a party. I've heard the conversations. Man, I popped him. Man, I went bang, whoop, 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 whoop. You've never seen the Facebook pictures with everybody lined up with the AK-7s and they thinking that's it? Or the money in their hand and they fanning it like this is life? They don't care about the indictments. They care about the points they get. It's not a video game. It's not a video game. But we have to go back and reach it. This is why I say the community leaders and the preachers have to come out and be more relevant to these people that's lost. How do you reach the lost? By reaching out, coming to meeting them at their level, not coming here and trying to talk to them here, but you got to come to their level and meet them here and stop judging, but understanding. And then gradually, I don't know if y'all remember that Price is Right game, that YOLO game. It just inched up. It has to move slowly, almost like your gas gauge when you're pumping gas in it. It has to move slowly. You're right, Maria. Governing our own community is the only way. If we don't take the pride and the time in our own community, it will not work. It will not work. It was a time that we gave out our own free lunches. I would have lunches delivered to my home. I had a refrigerator in my basement. I would have lunches in the summer delivered to my home. And every day in summertime, I would come on my front porch on Mozart, and they knew I had free lunches, and I would give it to the kids in the summer. Give it to the kids in the summer. Nobody asked me to do it. Nobody. I wanted to do it because I knew kids were going to be playing outside. I knew some kids' parents was outside hustling. And I wanted to be, guess what? The woman that fed the children. I didn't care who their mother was. I didn't care if I didn't talk to their mother. I am somebody in the community that cared. that that child ate. And guess what? The mothers or fathers who didn't talk to me began to talk to me. And they even came around for a lunch or two. Because you have to do things that's genuine and from the heart. And that's what you have to do. If you love your community, you go out of your way for your community. I don't care if you just moved over there 4 months ago. Learn your community. Stop always walking in the door, putting your key in the door, having a seat, and clicking the remote control. And then talking about they bad as hell down there. I don't mess with them. I don't mess with them. I got my circle. I do blah blah blah. No, you can have your personal circle, but when you live in a community, you are a part of that community, and you have to be present in your community, or guess what? It ends up just the way your community is. If it's ugly, it stays ugly. If it's thriving, you have to help it continue to thrive. You know, a recent report from the University of Chicago Consortium on Chicago School Research showed that 25% of high schools and 10% of its middle schools have a high suspension rate. The students suspended come from the most embattled communities, with many of the children having been abused or neglected. Abused or neglected. So, do you know how important it is for you to play a part in a child's life that's not even yours? So, that's why I wanted to be present at that time, because I don't know what situation a child is leaving. That's why when I taught, they become my children. They become my children. I see my children working now. I used to have their children come back to me because those kids remembered how well I took care of them. And when they had children, they brought their children back to me. Do you know how rewarding that felt for me to have them as my students and then my students bring their children to me? So I had generations. And honestly, I left from teaching to become a psychologist, a community psychologist, for two reasons. One, I wanted to understand my sister, and I wanted to be so open, so loving, and to my sister, that when I studied it independently, ever since a child, I studied psychology. So that's why when I got in school, everything was natural to me. It was so easy. They thought I had already took courses when I first started, but I did all my life. So I was a natural study person. I was a natural person that seeked knowledge in the field of psychology. Let me get my words correct. So that was always a part of me. And the second reason I went is because I found myself counseling my parents. It would start off with the concerns of my children, what's going on in the home, what do I need to know? I would see different things. I knew what I needed to do. Then the parents would come because they were so comfortable with me, and we would begin to discuss things, and I would come up with plans, with treatment plans and things for them naturally. So I said, okay, I'm already doing what what I should be doing. Why not get a degree? And then I would go as an activist to different meetings, and I would come up with these different plans for the communities and all of these different things. And Mayor Daley would say to me, so who are you? What do you do? And I would say, well, I'm a teacher, blah, blah, blah. But when I was coming up with these different plans and telling them about the psyche and the this and that, they wanted to know, was I a psychologist? What was I doing? So I said, let me go get a degree. So the next time they ask me this, I'm going to be able to stand on this and say this and that, because believe it or not, your degree matters when you're sitting in rooms like that. So the next time, it came around and I was fighting for some things and I was putting stamps on it, And when I was challenged of, well, who are you? I couldn't wait to start shifting them cards around that table, that round table or that long board table, and shooting my cards around. I'm Harris, I'm so and so, so and so. But you see, I never use that title unless it's needed. And I'm not a title person. I'm just little old me. But when they challenged me for that, I couldn't wait to tell them, because I was fighting for community and change at that time, and I needed to use that title, and it was for change, and it happened. And so I fight for communities. It does not have to be mine. I fight for communities in the city of Chicago that's neglected. I fight for communities nationally that's been neglected, because it matters. These are my people. These are my people. And if my people are not being treated fairly, somebody have to have a voice. Maria, if they're taking drugs, they are hurting and masking pain. I never met a person on drugs that wasn't burdened down in the spirit. Maria, valid point. Valid point. Um, it's very seldom somebody just kind of do it recreationally. You get a few that try it with their friends and just get hooked. You get a couple of those. You do get a couple of people that think that they're just partying and having a good time with their friends, especially young people, and then they find themselves addicted. And then most of the other people, the higher percentage people, they do it because there's an underlying issue that may have occurred, and they do it to, like you say, to mask or to band-aid whatever term we want to use, the pain, the hurt, the humiliation, um, whatever. They are putting something, they're placing themselves with that drug to self-medicate. And then, like I said, then there's the exception of the fool who just doing it. Oh, it's party time. Yay. Okay, I'll try it. And then they find themselves trying it again and again with that group, and boom, they are addicted. So true. So true. And those are the ones that we need to 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 get a hold to, because they're the ones who probably was going right here, going straight to valedictorians, going straight to the top, and then they did that curve. But all of them, we need to make sure that we grab all of them and get them together. um we need to have real conversations in our community, real conversations, real meetings, real conversations, but they need a safe place to do it. You can have you can have conversations sometimes in open areas, because some people don't know how to leave a confidential arena and keep it confidential. So when there needs to be real confidential things to be addressed, then we have to make sure a person have that area. So we are about to wrap it up in just a moment. Nikita Simone Blakely, you are a living witness. You have to help me stone stone turkey. Bless God. Never look back. Amen. Oh yeah, you went stone turkey and never went back. Oh, praise God. I'm so happy for you, Nikita. I'm so happy. So happy. And everyone can't go stone turkey. Everyone can't do it. And you're a very strong person, very strong will, and God gave you that strength. That's something, everyone can't do. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And I hope your life journey is even more prosperous now than before. More more greater. And when I say prosperous, it does not have to mean money as well, but prosperous can also mean you are prosperous with education, career, family, whatever. So I hope it's more rich and wealthy with those things. I'm so happy for you. Bless God. You're right. He gets all the glory, all the glory. And that's a great thing. Um, I want people to come up with survival techniques. What do you do? I want you to come up with survival techniques as if you got dropped off in a desert island. You help me. Oh, thank you. Bless God. And you know, Nikita, I'm so glad that I did. I don't know what I did, but I thank God it's not me, it's Him. I thank God that He used me as a vessel, and I thank you. I thank you for saying that, but I promise you, it's all Him working through me. I'm just a little old vessel. And dude, please talk to me later. And I love you. I love you. I really do. We have to prepare like we are lost in the wilderness, and bears are out there, and things we have, snakes, things we have no idea that's out there, and we have to prepare ourselves like that for survival, and stop acting as though we have no other tools. We have to prepare ourselves for things like this and get our survival kit ready, because if I'm out there in the wilderness, I want to be able to fight. I want to be able to survive. I don't want to fall astray. I don't want to kill myself in the wilderness because I think nobody's coming to rescue me. I want a survival kit. I don't want you guys to watch. What is that? I think that is Survivor, where they out get lost naked and afraid. Watch a few episodes of Naked and Afraid. They come out there with rubbing sticks, building stuff to keep them safe, so they can keep safe from insects and poisonous plants and all of that stuff. Build yourself a life survival kit so you can get through these bad times, so you won't have to pop pills, so you won't have to have leaf, so you won't have to be a drug dealer, so you have to build yourself a survival kit. If I lose my job, what do I do next? Go to a temp agency, go to do this, go do that. You have to build yourself a survival kit. Okay. I love you guys. If you have any more questions, you do know I have the Chewing the Fat on Intellectual Radio page on Facebook. Please, we can continue that discussion this week. We can continue to talk about it. Just log on in and we'll talk about it. I'll take the heading from this page, pop it on there, and we can continue to discuss this. But right now, my hour is near. Yeah, because I started a little early. So my hour is near. I love you guys, and you know what I'm going to say. Live life on purpose. Live life. What are you saying, Nikita? Everybody ain't a warrior. But if you are, shield the next brother or sister until they get it. Yes, Maria. Yes, 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 yes. Shield them. But live life on purpose. Live life with purpose. For without it, there is no reason to even live. I love you guys. Have a great week, and I'll catch you later. Mwah. Love you, love you, love you. Share the post now. Share, share, share.